Thank you for joining us around the fire. For more information or to make a donation, please visit randomactsnetwork.com. Now, want to hear a scary story?
Alright, let's set the scene. Exterior shot, Haddington video. A piece of shit local rental spot in a forgotten corner of the Midwest. Crossfade to an interior shot of the empty store. The rain hammers against the windows like it's auditioning for a part in Superstorm 3D. It's usually slow when it's raining like this. Most people don't want to go out and get their hair wet. And then there's the fact that most people seem to forget how to drive when there's more than 2 raindrops on the road. I was basically zoning out, organizing tapes when I heard the bell above the door. I look up, and there's this guy standing in the doorway. And by standing, I mean he's just standing there. Like some creepy movie extra that hasn't been given any direction. He's got a black hoodie pulled way down over his face, and his clothes are dripping heavily into the carpet. "Hey man," I said, trying to sound casual even though I was pretty weirded out. "Lovely evening, huh?" He just stared at me. Well, I think he was. His hood perfectly blocked the fluorescent lights, keeping his face completely hidden in shadow. Then, slowly, he reached under his hoodie and pulled out a plastic bag. Inside, there was a single VHS tape. No box or case in sight. Without a word, he slides the tape across the counter and I pick it up. It's just a plain black tape with no label, no title, no sign of a studio logo or even a piece of Scotch tape. Just a blank, sad-looking VHS, like the last kid picked in gym class. "You returning this?" I ask. I even muster up a little grin for him, but he just nodded slowly, without making a sound. Friggin' weirdo. "All right, buddy. Thanks for the riveting conversation." I turn and scan the tape into our computer to check it in, but it just sits there like, "Nah, bro, get somebody else to do it." The screen doesn't register a thing. I try to scan it again, but obviously, nothing. "This isn't showing in our system," I said. But people get confused enough even when it's not violently downpouring outside. So I tossed out there, "You sure this isn't from the store across the woods in Maple Grove?" The second I said it, the guy's entire vibe shifted. Like I said something shady about his mother or implied that the Arbor Day franchise isn't as scary as the Ghost Bitch movies. "It's from here," he finally mumbled. Maybe he was just smashed. "Do you have a membership card or a receipt I can look at?" I asked. He just kept staring at me. "Alrighty, man, no worries." I turned to grab an empty case to slap this mystery tape into. When I turned back around, literally a second later, he was gone. Poof. Vanished. Look, I know I smoke a lot of weed, but it's not like I'm hitting the meth pipe or something. There's no way he could sneak out of the store without that little bell ringing. There's no way to miss that thing. It's loud as hell. Like if a flea sneezed on it, that thing would jingle. Normally, I love having the store to myself, but where the hell did this dude go? Either he was hiding around here somewhere, or he slipped out via teleportation. Either way, he had some supernatural stealth abilities, and I am not a fan. Hello? I called out, trying to sound cool. All I could hear was the rain on the windows and the tinny hum of the store lights. There's like $8 in the register if you're thinking about trying something funny. After walking the floor, I took a quick look in the small employee bathroom. It was empty, so I headed over to the storage closet. Empty too. Aside from the basement, the only other room was the manager's office. Ron's office. Now let me tell you about this little room. A nook in the back, where Ron, aka the Man of Mystery, hides out when he's actually here, which is exceedingly rare. It's also a spot where the door is almost never closed, let alone locked. And yet, here I am, staring at it. I jiggle it a couple times to make sure I'm not just losing my mind, but no, it's locked up tight. Like skeletons in the closet tight. You know what, creepy hooded dude? You want to chill in Ron's office? It's all yours. I started to walk back towards the front counter, but I felt the nagging pull to check the basement biting at my ankles. I swear, going downstairs is the last thing I want to do any time of day, let alone at night. And let aloner during a friggin' thunderstorm. But I had to look. Calling that space a basement doesn't feel quite right. It's more like an underground death trap. The stairs are specifically designed to send you to the ER. So narrow and steep, they're practically just a ladder. And the farther down you go, the colder it gets. I take each step carefully, because it's so dark I can barely see my own feet. And there's this single dangling light bulb at the bottom that casts just enough light to make things worse. I reach the bottom and stare into what is essentially a giant cement coffin, stretching the whole length of the strip mall. The concrete floor is stained and cracked, and there's graffiti older than hieroglyphics on the walls. Since there's no windows or anything, the place hasn't seen the sun since the building was put here. Which makes sense. I'm pretty sure sunlight itself would say hell no at the top of those stairs. All the way across the concrete crypt, there's a looming shadow of another staircase. Where it goes, I have no clue. My only guess would be the pizza parlor 2 doors down. But it could also just be a side door to the 5th circle of hell. Hey, creepy dude, you down here? I called out. I'm not sure what my plan was if he answered back. A high five? Part of me considered walking the length of the basement, but I wasn't feeling brave enough. So I shouted, I'm locking the door behind me, so if you're down here, have a great night. Back on the main floor, my eyes land on Ron's office door again. I have never seen Ron lock his office door before. I didn't even know it had a lock, to be honest. I couldn't think about anything else. All I needed was to confirm the dude wasn't hiding in there, and then I could go back to not working. I headed over to the front counter and opened a few drawers. And sure enough, found a spare key marked office. With a deep breath, I headed back to the office door, inserted the key, and turned. Excuse me? I nearly jump out of my skin, smacking my head against the door frame. I spin around to see a little old lady hunched above the counter, glaring at me like I pissed in her petunias. Oh, sorry, I said awkwardly. I didn't hear you come in. Maybe there was something wrong with that stupid bell after all. The woman shook her umbrella in front of her, dropping a gallon or so of fresh rain into the carpet. "Do you have any copies of the Amityville Whorehouse?" she asked. She spoke like she was all polite and classy, asking for a cup of tea and not the Amityville fucking whorehouse. "Oh, totally," I say, trying not to laugh. "Actually, might I recommend Amityville Jacuzzi? It's got way better production values. I've seen them all." She seemed to like the personal touch, and a few minutes later headed back into the stormy night with both tapes in hand. As she passed through the door, the bell jingled loudly, unmistakably, and all I could do was shrug. Then I realized that I'd left the key hanging out of the office door and headed back over to it. Without taking any more time to second-guess myself, I twist it, push the door open, and flick on the light. The office is as cluttered as ever. Stacks of papers, crumpled piles of receipts, cigarette butts overflowing in the ashtray, and a handful of dirty mugs, half full and long cold. I took a step inside, looking around, even checking behind the desk, but there was nothing there. No trap doors, no secret passageways. Just the smells of stale smoke and yesterday's coffee and Ron's eternal mess. Well, at least all of the excitement helped the night pass quickly. Before I closed up, I thought again about the blank tape the dude had left behind, still sitting on the counter in the unmarked case. I ran over and grabbed it, tucking it behind a box in the storage closet so I can give it a look at my next shift. For now, my work here is done. And honestly, I'm not paid enough for this shit.